In this dashboard, I got these two cross tabs, branch names and some months down here. This one with the free meshes. Let's go into design mode and let's have a look at the first cross tab. If we want a graphical presentation of this, we might go to our properties smart pad over here and simply change the object type from cross tab to one of the other ones. You can actually click any of those. I'll pick the bar chart option here because I think that's the best way of visualizing these data. Now, what if we had some additional dimensions here, for instance, a journal period year dimension? Well, it actually becomes to 4 series data, as you can see here. And maybe now this bar chart is not the best way of presenting those data. Maybe you should go with a column chart instead, like this. All right, let's focus on the other cross tab. So we got months here, we got free measures like revenue and gross profit and gross profit percent. Now, if we turn this one into a chart, could be a spline chart like this, maybe a line chart, or let's just pick the column chart again here. We will see a slight challenge here. The orange bars, equipment sales, gross profit percent, we don't see it because these data or these numbers are simply too small compared to the other two measure values. Now, we can handle this, and let's go into properties of this, and I'll use this example to bring you through a lot of the settings for a column chart, labels, dimensions, axis, etc. What you see here will be similar to a line chart or a pie chart, etc. Let's start by adding a title, sales numbers, for instance. What will that do when applied? Yeah, well, it's just a title on top of your graph like this. Let's look at this one. You can do things stacked. Well, it doesn't make sense because it's 3 different measures, but if it was 3 departments, I guess that'll be okay. Let's put it back to side by side. Let's move down here, series, you can see it here. And here you also see the problem that everything has been put on the left axis, including my gross profit percent. That one should go on my right axis. There you go. So now we got a right axis over here, and my gross profit percent works on that axis as the orange bars. But while it's being selected with the blue background, I can change the visualization for this one. So instead of the default visualization, I could go with a line or maybe a spline visualization like this. I very often prefer that. The marker here, if we set that to none, we got rid of the circles up there, but maybe we would actually like the circles. So let's just bring it back. Let's move on. The next tab here, labels. It's split in two. The upper part here with legends. The legend is this one over here, my kind of color explanation. You can choose to totally hide it if you don't need it, but I think automatic in most cases makes sense. Now another thing, this position here, right? It leaves a lot of empty space over here. So if instead of right, if we click here to put it on top, it's more space efficient, if you like. Let's move to the other part here, the other labels. This one here, labels currently none. What happens if we pick measure value? Well, you get measure values on, well, everything. All the bars, columns, and the dots on the line here. Maybe that's not exactly what you wanted. Let's put it back to none. What had happened there was I applied it to all, but instead I could apply it to just a single measure like this, the gross profit percent, and now we got labels only on my spline up there. I can change the number format for these labels. You can see it's just percent formatting. If I click advanced, specify, I can change the number of decimals. Maybe I would like just a single decimal for these labels. And that's what you see now, 1 decimal there. The mouse over here, measure value, is just the values you see whenever you have your mouse on top of one of these columns. Dimension axis, this one down here. Usually not much we want to do about this. Maybe something like with the labels angle, like angle up. Well, let's just keep it at that. Let's move on to the measure axis. And my measure axis, we got a left axis, this one over here with millions. What happens if we add a title by measures? Well, it simply writes the titles of the two measures that is currently working on the left axis. And of course, we do something similar with the right axis. So click right axis and add a measure title there as well. And we can see gross profit percent over here. That's fine. These labels on the axis itself should be 0, 10, maybe almost 20%, something like that. So we also need to change the label, or sorry, the number format of this. So number formatting here. We will probably need to disable this automatic abbreviation. We don't need a specific one for zero numbers. Actually, we go in here and pick the predefined percent calculation. But again, you see it with two decimals. So if I click specify here, I can make sure that on the axis it goes without decimals. So we should see it here. Yep. All right. So we got it without decimals like this. And well, the last thing, the colors on the left hand side here. If you want to change colors of any of your measures, I recommend that you just click the pencil here, edit element colors. Now you got two things here. You got a shared column here. Be a little bit careful about this, because if you change the color here, you'll change it across all of your platform. So if you want to change just within the object, use this assign color in object. So I changed the color here to blue, and we can see the final result here also in consumer mode.